Willie D live.
What's up, family? The Nolan Wells investigation just got even more complicated. We now have threatened legal action against the Reverend Sharpton. A fight over how Nolan Wells' phone will be examined. And dun dun dun. The prosecutor saying that, hey, we are not going to release any information on this thing. We're going to keep it sealed until it reaches a grand jury. So instead of getting clear, the battle over who gets to say what and who gets to see what is getting bigger. So the question is, will there be justice for Nolan Wells? Sharpton has now been threatened with a defamation lawsuit. Attorneys representing Warren Hudson, Jax Pitalo, and Morgan Seymour sent Sharpton a pre-suit demand letter demanding apologies and retractions over statements they say falsely implicated the three friends. Al isn't backing down. His response was essentially, "Bring it on, suckers. Ain't nobody scared of y'all. Bring the lawsuit." Why is Al so confident? Well, he argues litigation could put people under oath and potentially produce information about Nolan's final hours. That creates an interesting legal gamble, fam, because a defamation lawsuit could potentially mean depositions, discovery, and sworn testimony. Yeah, man, sworn testimony. That means you lie, you fry. So the question becomes whether litigation intended to stop accusations could actually expose more information. That's really what it's about. And here's the deal, fam. I don't think they want that. I don't think they want that. I really don't think they want to see all of that. Because them dudes who was on that boat, those dudes who are named in the lawsuit, they're not going to be able to hold it together under cross-examination. Yeah, when you put those experienced lawyers on them, it's going to be different than going into that friendly territory where you got black people hate them Tatum interviewing them in a nice, comfortable, friendly environment where they're going to get these softball questions. No, they're going to get grilled and they're going to get checked real hard. It's important to understand this, fam, that allegations aren't evidence. Okay? So what do they have to be afraid of? I mean, it's just allegations. Allegations are not evidence. So why are they shaking so much? These so-called three friends, as attorneys maintain their clients had nothing to do with Nolan's disappearance, or death, and deny they possessed or accessed Nolan's phone. Then there's Nolan's phone. The family and the DA previously agreed to a jointly coordinated forensic examination, potentially involving the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College Digital Forensics Lab and possibly the FBI. The disagreement appears to be over how it's done, not simply whether it's done. The family has sought an agreed forensic protocol covering chain of custody, preservation, access to extracted data, and what happens to the device afterwards. That's something that nobody's really talked about, right? What happens to the device afterwards? Now, I can tell you from personal experience, after they go through your phone, it's still your phone, so eventually they do return the phone to you. No matter what they find on it, they typically will return the phone to you. Now, you attorneys out there who follow the channel, y'all can chime in and clarify if need be. But that phone could be critical to this investigation. Calls, messages, deleted data, timestamps, and then you have other digital information that could potentially help reconstruct Nolan's final hours. That's depending on what forensic examiners recover. Meanwhile, you got the public. The public isn't getting the state's evidence yet. The DA says investigative evidence and the state autopsy findings will remain sealed pending grand jury review. That secrecy has two sides. Prosecutors argue they're protecting the integrity of an active investigation and grand jury process. Nolan's family and the public understandably want answers right mother now. Now let's talk about the independent autopsy. The independent autopsy hasn't solved the mystery either. It's classified Nolan's cause and manner of death as undetermined, pending further evidence. Yeah, pending, further investigation, okay? So we're approaching a major crossroads. Litigation is being threatened. Digital evidence remains contested. The state's evidence isn't public. And ultimately, a grand jury could decide whether the evidence supports criminal charges. Give me a thumbs up, fam, if you think the evidence supports criminal charges. Thumbs down if you say, no, man, they ain't got enough, Willie D. They ain't got enough. They ain't got enough. I'll give you a few moments to think about it. Okay, time's up. I was on Elliot Connie's IG earlier today, and he reminded everybody that, as we, pursue these narratives and we talk about the phone, we talk about who was on the boat, we talk about the seat tow call, we talk about the DA's lack of transparency, the threats being made, all of these different things that that dominates the headlines in this case. We absolutely cannot lose focus of the reason we're having these discussions in the first place, and that is Nolan Wells. And the question, what happened to Nolan Wells? How did he die? How did he die? That's important, but it's also important to remember who Nolan Wells was. Yeah, it's important to remember who he was. That's the really story that's going to outlast all of these narratives. Who Nolan Wells was, like keeping his memory alive, because from all accounts, he was a good dude. He was raised to be respectful, hardworking, loving, caring, generous, goal-oriented. All these things that you want your child to be. He was all of that. Unfortunately, it looks like his choice of friends were not all of that. Everybody's fighting over a narrative. Meanwhile, the one question that started all of this hasn't been answered. How did Nolan Wells die? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.